What's good, everybody? I'm super hyped to get into the Heliolisk buffs and changes in this hack. As always, none of these buffs and changes are intended for competitive play whatsoever. Not to mention, 600 plus moves have been buffed or changed, and I really recommend that if you are new here or if you have yet to do so, to check those out in the description below. It took me several months to document all of the move buffs and changes, both in-game and on the Google Sheets, so definitely give those a look. It's really important to understand how the Pokemon function now. With that being said, though, Heliolisk has a great new dual typing in Electric and Ground. I think that's a very fitting dual typing. There's already 2 other electric normal types, technically 3 if you count Furfru, but that doesn't really count. Let me think, Zebstrika and I believe Hachirisu. Those are the 2 electric normal types now. Heliolisk is actually one that despite me giving part normal to a lot of Pokemon, I actually don't think it fits Heliolisk because he's not mammalian, and he's not like generic. Well, first of all, he's a desert-dwelling lizard, electric desert-dwelling lizard, and he is very based on the sun. You know, he used to evolve with Sunstone, and he had solar power, and he still has solar power. But yeah, because of that, I opted to give him Sweltering Sun, effectively making him a pseudo fire type. It gives him permanent weather ball, and it retains that water immunity that Dry Skin used to give. Hot take: Dry Skin makes no fucking sense on Heliolisk. Dry Skin is for Pokemon who need water to like stay hydrated and they live near the water, like aquatic type Pokemon like frogs, like Toxicroak, Seismitoad, those types of Pokemon would have dry skin. Heliolisk makes no sense to heal from the sun and take damage to heal from the brain and take damage from the sun. Solar power makes more sense because you can kind of interpret it as like converting the solar energy into power, and that like damages himself. But regardless, this is not relevant. Point is, Sweltering Sun functions kind of like it's like an objectively better Dry Skin, although it doesn't work on the rain anymore. Although you could theoretically use Heliolisk if your teammates have Drizzle, just run solar power and then you have like a useless ability. But Sweltering Sun would obviously override the rain. Keep in mind that Sweltering Sun is essentially Desolate Land, so that will disappear when you switch out. But when you're in, you're immune to water. You get a 50% boost on your fire moves. So Weather Ball, like I said, is boosted by 50%, and it's effectively stab at that point. That's really great because Electric Ground is already some of the best dual stab in the game. Sandy's Shock type coverage, it's super sick. And so you have that, you have those desert dwelling attributes that make you ground type, and then the whole sun relation with Heliolisk, Helios, Heliolisk. That's why they have Sweltering Sun. Helioptile has Sand Force instead. You do have access to infinite use ability capsules, so earlier in the game you could use Solar Power or Sand Force depending on your teammates and all that stuff. And then for Heliolisk, Weather Rocks are buffed, so you can run Sunny Day, Heat Rock on your ally, and then Parting Shot or whatever into your Heliolisk, and now you have, at that point, you'll have 10 full turns of Sun to abuse with Solar Power, and that makes Heliolisk an absolute nuke with 129 base speed and 119 special attack. Nothing too crazy for this hack standards in terms of power, but he's still very strong, very fast, great dual stab. It's mostly the dual stab that carries here. He also has great coverage moves of all different kinds. Morning Sun is also really nice. That heals you by 2/3 in Sweltering Sun, which again does not go away unless a Guarding Gale, unless you switch out Faint, or if a Guarding Gale or a Stormy Seas Pokemon comes in. And there's only one pre-post game Stormy Seas Pokemon that we haven't gotten to yet, so it's mostly just Guarding Gale you have to worry about that would override your Sun. But yeah, you need to keep in mind that you can't abuse Sun on your teammates with Heliolisk. You can't Sweltering Sun, then Volt Switch into your Sun Abuser. That's not how that works. But you do have Solar Power for Sun teams. So Heliolisk with Sweltering Sun can function on any team, essentially. But with Solar Power, of course, you would be wanting to run Sun for that specific boss fight. Keep in mind, the possibilities are endless when it comes to prepping for boss fights and stuff. You have all types of different options, both utility moves and TMs and tutors and offensive moves. And you can swap around your EV spreads to live certain hits and all that kind of fun stuff. Camouflage, Z Camouflage is pretty cool. That gives you +1 to all your stats, and it matches the terrain. So you could use Z Camouflage under Grassy Surge or Psychic Surge with Nature Power or Energy Ball and get a boosted stab, terrain boosted move. That'd be pretty cool. And you get very fast, very strong. Kind of a gimmicky thing, which is why it's at level 40, because that's pretty damn strong for that point in the game. Electro Ball is very good. Electro Ball gives you +1 speed now. So coming off of 129 base speed, that first Electro Ball won't be that strong because of the mechanics of how Electro Ball works. It'll still be probably like 60-ish base power, maybe 80 if you're lucky, and if you've got like good speed Fs and plus speed nature. But then after that first Electro Ball, you're snowballing, and your Electro Ball becomes very powerful, and it also, of course, boosts your speed for the next Pokemon that comes in, so that's great. He's still vulnerable to very common priority moves. His physical defense is still pretty bad. HP is like average at best. Just logic-wise, that's what fits Heliolisk the best. So he'll still drop to like strong physical priority moves and also a lot of special priority moves. His speed tier in-game is not that great because you have to keep him. It's great. Okay, let me rephrase that. It's not as incredible as you might think that goes for any fast Pokemon because you're not guaranteed max max IVs or max. You're not guaranteed max IVs or a plus speed nature. Is my point. So, you know, depending on that, your Heliolisk can be not that fast. It'll still probably outspeed like base 110s and stuff, no matter what. But you know, you never know when the AI has a plus speed nature that makes a big difference. But you know, you can always just slap on a Toy Scope for certain fights, and tons of other great items work with Heliolisk. You know, again, like I said, it's in game, so the possibilities are endless. It's more akin to Draft League. Like I said, it's not balanced or in game, so you can kind of switch around your held items and all that other stuff to counter the specific fight that's coming up. You have other very powerful stabs, so you have stuff like Mud Bomb, which is 110 base power, 90% accurate, and has a 100% chance to drop speed. Scorching Sand's really nice. It's weaker than Earth Power by 15 points, but it has that 30% burn rate, which is pretty cool if you want that. Also, it's just good for stab for earlier in the game. Earth Power, then once you get that, is very great. It's a reliable stab move. You have T-Bolt, Volt Switch, you know, Thunder, and then later on you also get Flame's Wrath and Zap Cannon, both of which function like Draco Meteor. So does Hyper Beam and all these other moves, but yeah, those are essentially 150 base power moves that drop your special attack stat by 2. So those are great in conjunction with Volt Switch. And yeah, like I said, that solar power set is absolutely insane how strong it is, but you do have to keep in mind that you have to have the sun up to abuse that, and you have to, you know, pivot into your Heliolisk intelligently and play it carefully because we'll be losing HP and stuff. But it's really cool. You can always just Volt Switch out back again into your Sun Abuser and then Parting Shot back into your Heliolisk and just kind of do a little dance versus the AI in that regard. It's very, very strong. So yeah, and it has great coverage moves of all kinds, you know, Energy Ball, Flash Cannon, Surf, Electric Ground Dual Stab's already great alone on its own. Focus Blast, Dazzling Gleam, Signal Beam, Weather Ball. It's got everything it could ever want. But that Electric Ground Dual Stab hits pretty much everything anyways, so you're not going to need coverage too often. But it's always nice to have that option for boss fights. Pretty simple buffs. I think the Electric Ground typing fits really well. The only other one is Stunfisk, and it is kind of a shame because they do kind of overlap because Stunfisk has Water Absorb. So both of the Electric Ground types are immune to water with one of their abilities. Stunfisk is actually much stronger than Heliolisk with Electric Surge when it comes to using electric moves. I believe it has 101 special attack, but with Electric Surge that's much stronger than 119. But of course Heliolisk is much faster and has like just different tools and everything, so they're still very different Pokemon despite sharing that type combo. Sandforce is pretty useful on Helioptile for earlier in the game, like I said. You can get that sand up, and then you have Sediment to heal yourself as well with your Solids, but that's at that point in the game. You do get a boost to moves like Scorching Sands, 30%, which stacks with Stab, becoming a 1.95 times boost. And then you would have... That's actually it. You would literally only get a Scorching Sands boost. So Sandforce is pretty situational on Helioptile, but I mean, it's pretty cool nonetheless if you're running Sand on your team at that point in the game. I would give it Dry Skin, but I already had my little rant at the beginning of the video why I hate Dry Skin on Heliolisk and why it makes no sense. So I'm not giving Helioptile Dry Skin, sorry. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Hopefully you found these buffs entertaining and interesting and all that stuff. Make sure you check out the description. Again, I really do recommend you do that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much for your time. I'll be back for more Kalos buffs and changes coming up. Peace. This one was really awesome. I really like Heliolisk now. Super sick buffs.